Dixon. I'm the Draw My Life Prison Wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice. Hoping, whoo, girl, because you got to hold your breath for justice, to see justice before all face to bleak. Yes, it's your girl Cadillac. Anyways, guys, I am coming through. What is it still? November, yep, November the 15th, 2025. Um, just got off of work, but I don't have on my little checkered skin because y'all know I was living my life all the way up until it was time to go to work. So I barely got in here and I had to just throw my uniform shirt over my shirt. So now I could just discard that little checkered skin and do my video. I might need to do that often. But anyways, I was thinking back, like as I'm sweeping, y'all know, I try to figure out what I'm gonna talk about, girl. Sometimes I just put the camera in my face, like they say, girl, can you get the camera back a little bit out your face? But y'all know I hold it with my hand. And I can't be holding my hand all the way out here, girl. I ain't got the little setup right. I don't have the little I need to I had one though. I had one of them dash things, but I need to get one. But for now, we use what we got till we get what we want. So until y'all know I'm gonna have hold the phone and this about how close we gonna be. But I do like it because I kind of feel the frame. Y'all know I am an artist. It is weird to me when, well, on me looking, it does look weird to me that you watch people in their car and they're kind of like back and you can see all up in their car and stuff. Like to me, that's weird. And you can see they roundabouts. I mean, who like out they windows and stuff. Girl, this is internet. I think you need to be a little secret about where you at sometimes. I mean, because you know, you know how people are, right? Um, and little advice, I don't think I go live and actually release anything while I'm still in that location. That's just a little bit of safety tip. I've never done that. Even since back in Facebook, I don't live post where I'm at. So if I'm posting something or I'm vlogging something, baby, you better believe I'm not even there anymore. Girl, but yeah, so why would you be showing all outside? And I remember one time I was in Atlanta and I posted a video, and I promise you, someone watched my video and said, "Are you at that Walmart that's by the this and this and that?" I'm like, how they know what Walmart I'm at? Literally, like they knew the Walmart. So yeah, so I'm y'all don't know where I'm at like that. That's why I cover it all up. That's crazy. But anyways, had a whole nother, I don't know what that come from, but y'all know Cadillac get off track, girl. But I was sweeping the floor as I was closing, and I was thinking over, you know, what I've been doing, which I call this Project Reach the World. Project Reach the World has transformed many times. It is now done through video, but it started as audio. It started as music. It started as me writing. Actually, let's go back even further. Project Reach the World started as poetry before the music. It was poems, it was handwriting, and it was me drawing. The drawings got attention. And then once I got your attention through my drawing, I then could present the other gifts that I have, the poetry. Now, I wrote a song. I'm sorry, before the song, I wrote a poem called 1020 Life, talking about what happened to my husband and his wrongful conviction, just in case you've never watched me before. But I got to say that just in case. You never know if this is your first time coming across me. So the poem is like, I didn't understand how to market a poem, and how to actually try to break his story through poetry, because my first routes was trying to go to the news station. Back then, in early 2000, see, we're in a time of revelation where truth is being exposed. So things that we know now, we did not know back then. So allegedly in 2002, when my husband was first wrongfully incarcerated, I did not know that allegedly news outlets are biased. I did not know that the media allegedly worked against us. Now, I do remember growing up, whenever a crime was committed, my family loved, my parents, they loved to watch the news. Girl, it was too much. But back then, they would say, watch the news so you can learn something. They would say, watch that rather than watch other things. And I was like, I don't want to watch the news. But they would always tell me about, you got to watch the news. This is happening, that's happening. And when a certain crime would happen, the first thing, like if I heard my parents talking about, oh, did you hear such and such this happened? And the first thing that my parents would ask was, what color was the person? Were they BLK, or was it a YT person, or other? And I'm like, what does that matter? But that was me in my naive state, not knowing that RACE does really matter when it comes to crime and justice, allegedly. I thought that it was true what they told us, that we were all equal, we're all just. Artism is a thing of the past that doesn't exist no more. But whenever you heard that the person was BLK, then you could kind of see what was going to be the outcome from hearing the news story. Or certain things, a lot of times they wouldn't, like if a person was BLK, they definitely going to tell you it's a BLK man. But if they were not, they would kindly not mention RACE. It's just certain little manipulations, little small things that kind of basically condition your mind, allegedly, in a certain way when it comes to different demographics. So I really thought that news was completely like level, not biased, not leaning towards this or that. I did not know that it actually is a tool that allegedly works against certain people getting justice, allegedly. So, of course, they wouldn't take this story. They wouldn't research this story of my husband being wrongfully incarcerated. They wouldn't dare break a story like that. Not in Florida. We in Florida, girl. I would have had a better chance if we was in a different type of state. But this state here, girl, though we are very in certain parts now, deep off in them woods, allegedly, where they put Marcello and stuff all over. That's where you had them prisons in them back country woods for the most part. Now, that is not a mixed pot. But in the cities, you have every demographic. But you don't have a representation when it comes to like the system itself, like the the people that run this state, it's still not diverse. It's still that same old backwood alleged mentality, right? So definitely ain't no news station back then, and probably not today, because we refuse to move to the future or to present day where we really are in 2025. We refuse to come up to date. We refuse to anything that's going to bring justice and equality. We refuse. We don't want to do anything. We want to just sit where we are, stay where we are, and try the best to keep us in the past, right? So allegedly, I did not know that, of course, they wouldn't have touched that story with the 10-foot pole. Girl, you know what that would open? You know how many people allegedly, can you even imagine how many are actually wrongfully incarcerated here? I would think it's a lot. I really think it's a whole lot. And I think that's why they kind of keep us jammed up and not moving forward with this story. Because one story, because those same people covered a lot of cases. That's why in 2020, when Miss Monique Worrell took office in Orange County, she was working on the Conviction Integrity Unit, because she got into office as the second state attorney, BLK. And she and the first BLK state attorney seen that there were a lot of botched cases to where people were wrongfully incarcerated and sentenced to way more than they should have been. And I don't even know what happened with I did submit my husband's case, of course, to them. And there's never no resolve. But the alleged governor took her down and said she was letting too many criminals go. Well, criminals back then, when he used that word, allegedly criminal, he meant innocent people, innocent BLK people that they had wrongfully incarcerated. That's what he meant. Those are allegedly criminals. Like, so she got into office and started actually working for us. And they didn't like that. That's not how we run this thing. Oranges used to be like, I went to several I like museums and stuff like that. And oranges was Florida's money maker until mass incarceration, allegedly. That became the new product, allegedly. So I thought that I thought it really was fair and just. So of course I went to the news outlets, newspapers, and they just never took that story. But now looking back, I know they would nobody dare touch that story. So I'm like, well, how can I get this heard? Like, I can't just go around reciting poetry everywhere. There really was nowhere to do poetry except for, like, we had a place called AKA Lounge. And my cousin used to sneak in. He would just do the ID Macarena. Like, they'd be like, where your ID? He'd be like, I don't know where it's at. And the lady go and let him in. I think he was about 15, 16. And it was that one club that, oh, and that one was so nice because you do your spoken word, you could sing, you could do whatever. And then it's like that Luther Vandross song. After all the performers, they would push back the tables and chairs. And then it was just R&B music, and we would dance and have a good time. So I started out like performing my poetry and things like that, but it's no outlets, not for that type of culture here in Florida, right? In Orlando. So I'm like, dang, well, how can I get this story heard? So I said, well, let me see, can I, because I kept trying to find a singer, because I can write music, but I cannot sing it. So I said one day, yeah, I'm a poet. Maybe I could rap it. Let me see what this song sound like if I rap it. And that is where my poetry converted to rap. So now that I had that conversion into rap, oh, wait a minute, I could make a song and I could get it on the radio. And once I get the music on the radio, people are going to be asking me, like, that song you made, is that true? Did that really happen? And I'm like, yeah, that did happen. And so many people would be exposed to the story. Oh no, because I know injustice would not live in the light. But as long as it stays suppressed, as long as it stays allegedly, like, it's not going to go anywhere. The same story can remain the same until it is broken. But I knew once I got it in front of people, there would be people willing to fight with me. So I was like, I got to get this song on the radio. That's what started my rap career. I never really wanted to. I always played about being a rapper. I said I was going to be a rapper when I grew up and had my little notebook and this and that. But who actually really, I never really pursued a rap career. That wasn't until this happened. And then in my in my pursuit of a rap career, I never pursued to be like top dog. Back then, it was 106 at Park. I thought at least I could make it to 106 at Park because several of our radio DJs started DJing on 106 at Park, right? So that's that little connect. Like as soon as I get big in my city, yes, I wanted to do one of the rap things on 106 at Park. So I can at least see myself there. But as far as a big household name, never. I never even aspired to that. All I wanted was one song on the radio or even college radio. They had college radio that was doing good. You can get a buzz going. And all I needed was something to spark the fire behind the story and get the story out. Right? That's why it's called Project Reach the World. And I actually got that name. Whoa. Oh, I was given that name by God. How I came up with Project Reach the World, when I first became a rapper, and I was told, oh, we can make any female rap. You got to send us a picture. What do you look like? I was cute back then, but I'm like, okay, what does that have to do with anything? I was looking at like Queen Latifah, MC Light. Yes, they're very beautiful women, but they don't use their bodies. They did not use their bodies to get what they didn't. Their career was not based on their bodies, which now female rappers' careers are based on their bodies. They don't even have to be able to rap to be a female rapper. So I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, literally, it doesn't matter what I look like. Did it matter what Biggie looked like? But the rap industry allegedly is also biased as well. Women have to fall into a certain category, they have to be a certain way. Their music will never be heard. And most times, a woman has to be attached to a man to not be just straight degraded through that I was about to say that system, but it is a different system, um, that industry, allegedly. So I thought maybe just college radio, or even in Orlando, there were a couple of artists that were local artists, that every now and then, local artists would get on their radio station. Back then, it was 102 Jams. And then it ended up being a rival that came out when I was in hair school in 2003. It first came out, not Star 94.5. I'm sorry, that's R&B and old school music. It was 95.3, Power 95.3. Now, when Power 95.3 first came on the scene as a competition, because 102 Gems was different than Star 94.5. Star 94, the 4.5 was the R&B of the day and the old school, right? 102 Gems was like the latest hip hop and R&B. So that was the difference. So they weren't even really rivals like that. But here comes 95.3. When 95.3 came out, there was something called reggaeton. Now, I remember being in hair school and listening to reggaeton, because when I was in hair school in 2003, everybody had their cliques. We had the Hispanic girls, we had the BLK girls, and then you had like sporadic other little cliques or whatever. And the Hispanic girls would always play this reggaeton, which when I first heard it, I would call it Spanish reggae. Because I knew the beats was reggae, but I didn't know the name of it. And Star 94.5, 95.3, Power 95.3 was just reggaeton. It was all reggaeton. And was it Obi and Lil Sean? Yeah, Obi and Lil Sean. They had a morning show, but this is when it started coming off the cusp of just being reggaeton. But back then, it was just reggaeton. Okay. And they had Daddy Yankee. I remember that. Girl, gasolina. Yeah. And we'd be asking the girl. It sounded so good. We didn't know what they were saying, but we would ask the Hispanic girls, like, what are they talking about? What are they saying? And I remember we had to do some presentation, and one of the girls had Obi and Lil Sean from the morning show do their like advertisement. And it was so, like, we couldn't believe it. And that was kind of when they started crossing over and becoming a rival to 102 and started being like hip hop. It was still reggaeton, but it was hip hop, and it was other R&B and stuff like that, right? So those two, every now and then they had local artists get on those channels, and that's all I wanted. Either college radio or there. All I needed to do was break it in Orlando. All I need to do is get Orlando to know that there is a wrongfully incarcerated person, right? You don't really have to, I didn't think you had to get national news for them to make something right. All it has to do is be brought to the correct person. So I started doing music with hopes that that would happen. But then I met Lyfe Jennings. Before I met Lyfe Jennings, I had a dream. Girl, I can't even talk. I'm messing up so much. I had a prophetic dream about Lyfe Jennings. that I would meet him before I met him. And everything in the dream turned out and happened in real life, except for me and Life Jennings did not write songs together. And I did not get the money for lawyer money. And I did not get the big recognition that I did in the dream. So the dream played out differently. So in my mind, I was like, well, dreams just don't go straight. It's not always the same person that you dream about. Like you could literally dream about something happening to someone else and it don't be them, it be somebody else. But they just be representational of that person in your dream. So I'm like, it may not be like Janice. Maybe it's someone else. And that's where Project Reach the World. It was finding that person that I would work with that would break this story, right? And that's when I started doing artwork and reaching out, Project Reach the World, reaching whoever I could with hopes that I would get this story broken. Okay, so that's how it went from poetry and drawings and converted to music. Now, what did the drawings have to do with it? Was because that was my promotion. I didn't have like CD covers, I didn't have t-shirts. I made my own, I painted my own promotional t-shirts. I used to make my own outfits. I promoted with my hair. I made these wild hairstyles, like hair show type hairstyles. And side note, y'all remember that show, that movie Hair Show with Monique? I actually attended that hair show. That was my one and only hair show that I attended as a cosmetologist. I always wanted to go back with some of my creations, but never did. But I would use all my creativity as basically my marketing because I did not have the money for marketing. So I made my shirts, I made my CD covers, I used to plaster my van. I drove a minivan back then, Clifford, the big red van. I drove my mama old minivan. Yes, I had my MySpace on the back of it. Girl, so the art and creativity is what brought attention to myself. And then that's when, dang, she can rap too. Like, how many talents you got, girl? Like, I don't know. I probably got more until God reveals to me that I have this talent. I just don't be knowing. It's like it just be there. Like the day that I started drawing, I literally picked up a pencil and I can draw. I didn't even know I could draw like that, girl. So that's where the art comes in. So it's a fusion of my art, my music, my poetry, and it was all to kind of break the story. But I always thought that it would start there and it would get bigger or whatever. And I thought it was going to be easy because I did not know the the opposition. I did not know that people actively fight against justice, true justice. I did not know that. I literally thought, girl, oh, I truly hard down thought that, like I say in my song, I used to think that justice really exists. Now I see that it exists only for the rich. I used to listen out for freedom to ring. I guess I must be tone deaf. Ain't no freedom ringing for me. Like, I believe just like everybody else does until something directly like diverts you from that. I think that's the default setting of believing in this justice system. That's why it's so hard because not everybody is allegedly awakened to how this really works. and they just won't listen to the people that have had experience. Like, that's the craziest thing. That's the only place. Have you ever thought about that? Allegedly, the justice system is the only place where they don't want the opinion of somebody that have actually had hands on experience. Any place else, you want the person that's been right there in the field with it. You want the top of the top that has been familiarized with this, except for the justice system. You want the person that really don't know how it works and just defends it tooth and nail blindly, allegedly. So I started trying to figure out, like, first I had to find a studio, and I was in Orlando, Florida. Wasn't nothing, nowhere to record like that. I found Red Dog Studio. I told y'all he was with the underground music. Oh, that too. I could have got my music on the underground radio station. That was a possibility I was thinking, right? Because I told you how they used to pirate allegedly on the radio station. But I just really thought this was possible. I really thought it was possible, and I thought that it did. Of course, it wouldn't take that long, like, because he's innocent. Like, the minute people start listening to me, they're going to want to help me. So I started trying to find shows, talent shows. It wasn't a lot, but I found a few where I started rapping and getting acquainted to being on the stage. There were big time producers coming to Orlando. Every now and then, there were some people here. So I was like, yeah, once I get big in this city, it's a no brainer. It's going to happen. So I do remember, I went a long time. But the whole point of why I started it was because the thought that I remember one of the persons that gave me the chance to perform. They supported my music so much. Everybody was like, Cadillac, Cadillac. Oh, they especially loved my song Neck Bones and Collard Greens. Everybody loved that song. Like, that would have been a hit. And I thought because they supported my music, okay, like almost like Eminem, he came in on a certain type of music, but when he got his foot in the door, he started making the type of music that he really wanted to make. I kind of started saying I was going to do that, right? I'm just going to be fun right now. I'm going to have fun with hip hop and this and that. And then once I am able to do my music that I want to do, which I didn't even know back then that artists don't have the luxury allegedly to do what they want to do, right? They kind of allegedly bound to do what they are told to do, allegedly. So that still wouldn't have worked. So thank God he missed me with that. Thank God I was banging on these folks' door. Thank God nobody opened that door to me. I hear so many horror stories about the industry. Thank God. But back then I was salty. I was like, you can't find no better person than me. Why my music don't take off? I mean, it's everybody knows it. Everybody, people coming up to me asking for a copy of a demo. Who even listens to people's demos anyway? But they were playing mine out, giving mine to the next person, next person. Who really does that? That means it had to have been good, right? So the person that let me perform, they believed in my music. So I revealed to them my movement, the whole reason why I was doing it. That was one of my slogans. It's not just music, it's a movement. Just like I said, it's never been music. It's always been a movement. Project Reach the World. That's a slogan that I'm using. From my hand painted T-shirts to my rhymes filled with hurt. Meant to breach into the system. It ain't working. Red alert. It's always been a movement. And when I revealed to this person what my movement was, that my husband was wrongfully incarcerated, and another big song I had was Single Mother by Force Not Choice. And I remember trying to market that song. I would go into like the WIC office. I would go into the food stamp office. These were places I had to go as a single mother. I was struggling. I was going through the most, and I just wanted to encourage other single mothers that look, you can make it out. You just got to keep trying. You got to hang in there. And I would try to go up to the women and talk to them, but most people was like brushing me to the side. They were laughing me off, girl. Like, get out my face. I don't even have time for this. And I'm trying to pass them my demo. Some people take the demo. You remember it was a CD, so they throw it like a frisbee. But girl, so I remember telling what I envisioned, because I was made a single mother overnight by Force Not Choice. I wanted to help other single mothers. Once I got my little music career going, you know how musicians do things for like charity. I wanted to have a place that provided either very low child care, or if I could, free child care, because that was one of the hardest struggles, because you're trying to come up for your kids, but you can't. You got to work, and you have to keep them. Between that, there's no time to elevate anything, right? So I wanted to do that. And then another thing was, I felt like the system here they made me a single mother. They took my husband. Like, literally, a lot of times the man ain't choosing to be there, but they literally ripped and snatched my active in the house husband and father of my daughter out. That's functioning. We were functioning. It's like if you're living and someone snatches your heart out as you're living. That's what it's like. Just ripping that something that is working, that is living, that is functioning, you just ripping it out. Right? So they ripped him out our household and completely turned me from being a family to a single struggling behind woman. I wanted to say a struggling for what? We wouldn't have been there struggling. I wouldn't have been alone. I wouldn't have been. You created this. So I felt like because you dismantled allegedly my family, you should supplement. So I wanted to do certain things where, when the father of a child is incarcerated, I believe they should have some type of monetary supplement. When you take the father, the same state allegedly that took the father should step in and be the father's role. You should be supplementing what you took. And that's what I wanted to fight for. And I was running it past the person, and they was like, listen. Have you ever thought about some people actually did what they're accused of? And I'm like, okay, but what does that have to do with my husband? He's innocent. I know he's innocent. And she was like, listen, I've been there. I was with somebody and they did this, and this. and I couldn't believe it, but they did. And the minute I left them, then I was like, oh, okay, so she doesn't support this movement. But what was kind of crazy, later, years and years and years later, that same person ran for office. And one of their talking points was about the criminal justice system and what it's doing to our people. Like, so maybe I actually opened people's minds to this, because you got to realize I was doing this in 2005 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Well, before 19, that's when y'all start waking up and realizing this. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. I have been talking about the same things. If MySpace still loaded, which I don't think it did, it does. If you could load my MySpace, you would see I was talking about criminal justice, prison reform, and wrongful convictions. My Facebook, almost every post, the reason why nobody wanted to like any post is because they were sick of me talking about wrongful convictions, prison reform, criminal justice reform. It's always been the same thing with me. It has always been that. So, yes, Project Reach the World went from different phases. It's always been the same thing. All right, guys, that was just a little story, long-winded story. I'm sorry. Um, Back in the day, right, to present day. And I had a whole nother story, but girl, I thought I was gonna do both, but I went too long on this one, so I'll do that in the morning. All right, guys. Hiss ya. Well, it's already morning. Hiss ya, girl. Cadillac.